Two of your biggest challenges as a business, and what did you do to overcome it that's unique to being in a township? You wouldn't get it if you go elsewhere, but two of your biggest challenges and what you did to overcome those challenges. And yours would be in context, obviously, of the incubation and as an incubator. Yes.
Okay. So it's very important for us to understand that with our socio-economic challenges, people enter businesses for a variety of reasons. But to cut it in short, maybe to focus on the main, you've got two main drivers. You've got what we call a push effect, and then you've got a pull effect. So a pull effect is more when somebody has the desire and has the willingness to start a business. A push effect is when external elements, this can be your socio-economic challenges. Maybe they have to feed a child, maybe they have to provide for the family. That is the push factor that leads them to starting a business. This is very important foundationally because this characterizes how the entrepreneur behaves in the space and also speaks to the survival of the business. So for us, we need to first inform entrepreneurs and we need to educate them in terms of the space they are getting into, because it's very simplistic to just take someone, especially from a township. I hold the philosophy that the average black child has got innate trauma, and then over all of that you just want to start a business. So for us to be able to respond to these challenges, we have to understand that foundation first. And what we do as a center, we have what we call a self-mastery program. It takes about 3 to 5 days. So during the self-mastery is, you are trying to get to know yourself, you are trying to get to know your triggers, and you are trying to get to know your strengths and weaknesses before we start talking about business, before we start dealing with the devil and all of those things. And once we've covered this foundation, we take each SMME at a subjective level in terms of understanding where they are and what they want to achieve. So it's very important for us to educate them. At the Motheo Incubation Center, we hold the philosophy of a 60-40 approach to business building. That's one. We also hold the feedback approach to business building. This means that 60-40% means 60% of your time will be spent on learning. And this is not while you are in the incubator, this is post the incubation. 40% of your time you'll be spent on working. This is how you get ahead in today's world. The simple reason that we've got our phones and everything is happening on the phone, it's information. This is what drives the economy today. It's more valuable than gold today. That's why tech companies are leading today. It's information. So for you to lead and excel, we drive that philosophy of a 60-40 approach as one. And then secondly, the feedback loop. We teach people to build businesses based on feedback. And what you will get mostly in our township is that people tend to be offended when they are criticized and when they are given feedback by the client. So we encourage this behavior. Feedback loop in simple terms means that you listen to your customer. The information that your customer is telling you, consider it as a brick and mortar. That information that your customer is giving you. And that cement and mortar, this is what you use to build a business, because essentially you are responding to their needs. So you must align what you are doing with what they are saying. So that's just to premise how we approach. I was hoping maybe they could have said something that I could have responded to it, but when you say business challenges, this is how we build models, because most of the time, the main challenge is not necessarily funding. If you say, and he's thinking of buying a ice cream machine or buying an extractor, because now in his store there's a lot of oil smell and it's hitting on the customers. And the question I asked him, which one would you buy first? Would you buy, he's already selling water and some of these things. Would you buy the ice cream machine first, or would you buy the extractor machine first? Strategically, I can put it to the room as well. Strategically, you buy the ice cream machine first because you are driving revenue. And buying the ice cream machine first will bring you a lot quicker to buying the extractor. So us being able to solve the right problems becomes a critical play as a business owner, which is what I would consider as a major challenge. SMMEs are solving problems, but they are not solving problems effectively. Elon Musk said that when he interviews people, the first question is, tell me about a problem you've solved. And solving a problem doesn't mean changing it into something else. It means getting rid of it. It's not there anymore, or it's slightly simple. So that's the main challenge. We tend to solve the wrong problems. Thank you.
Thank you very much. You said something, we are solving problems, but we are not solving them effectively. And I agree with you 100%, and it brings me to my first point. Sometimes, one thing that I've learned is that it's not always about money that we receive or funding that we receive. And the bad thing that an entrepreneur can get into, or the web that they can get themselves into, is always depending on funding. You have to move away from depending on funding, because it happens that you are now in a survival mode. You are waiting for the next funding, and it's really bad for business. And you get stuck on that stage when you are not effective in what you are doing. So I'm saying I agree with him, because I personally have suffered from that I would always be waiting for the next funding. I'm always waiting for that, until I saw that, hey, you know what, I'm now living I'm just eating from the government. I'm no longer growing at all, and it makes our businesses to be stagnant. And as SMEs, we are sometimes struggling, especially in the townships, to get this kind of support. We started operating in 2022, and I think the digital hub was just opening at that time. And all my applications and everything that I've done, even today, until today, I'm not saying anything bad about the facility here, but I will find that I still have to go to Bloemfontein to get things done. If I want to go to the ST, I still have to go, except if Messelwan comes to my shop. I still have to go. Sometimes, yeah, I'll put in an application through here, but for the feedback, I still need to go to the head office. So this is the problem that we have, that a lot of these things are far from us. They are very far from us. This help that we get from the TVETs and all this non-financial support, sometimes they say there is a workshop and you have to travel for 5 days to Bloemfontein. I just did that, I think last week. No, it's not me, it's my employee. She did that for the whole week. She had to travel. It's money that is coming out of the business, because I am supposed to train her and I have to pay for that. So these facilities, they are very far from us. So if things are brought nearer to us, like this facility is very good. I can always walk here if I can find everything here. So if this place can become a one-stop shop, it could be a big opportunity for SMMEs in Botshabelo. And the other thing that I wanted also to mention when it comes to this place is compliance. Now, When it comes to compliance, and I'll go a bit further to say, I might come out as conflicting because I would say compliance has become we call them what? Red tape for us. Because we cannot get some of these fundings because of compliance. And we are advocating for compliance to be maybe lowered, please reduce the requirements and all that. But I also want to put it across to our entrepreneurs that sometimes compliance, because when I'm used to maybe applying with only my CIPC certificate, I never saw even one workshop, like maybe there is one or two that was working on an SAPS cars or government cars. We can't just come and load the cars from Botshabelo to Bloemfontein. Why? When you are going to the dealerships, most of the people that are working at the dealerships, they were from Botshabelo. Most of the people, engineering works, people from Botshabelo. But now, why can't we do our things? Instead of traveling, when I'm chilling, there's people that are transporting like yellow fleet trucks to Bloemfontein. They are mechanics in Botshabelo. They are qualified people in Botshabelo. Like, we need to check. Because government, they said on the government, they need a lot of artisans. There are a lot of artisans here in Botshabelo. If you can search. And people that they were working at the Transnet, they are still sitting without doing nothing here in Botshabelo. So if we can try to do the incubation center here in Botshabelo, there will be work. And at least people, they will improve in terms of unemployment. So, yeah, that's it.
So, artisans and skills development within the township as well as offering the service within the township, because the skills are here. I think that's some of the models we're hearing from the Western Cape, so it's a good proposal and we'll see what comes as we consult further. So we've spoken about challenges.
Can I just address that part of the incubation? I think I missed that part. So, earlier, colleagues, I mentioned that we've got about 114 public sector incubation centers. We've got other private sector incubation centers, but I don't have those numbers. So, incubation centers across the country, they come in different forms and shapes. For example, here we are in an ICT hub. It's a digital hub. So it focuses on technology and so forth. The incubation center that I run, it's called a mixed manufacturing center. So the core focus there, we focus on mixed manufacturing, which would be welding, jewelry manufacturing, clothing manufacturing, and the likes. If you look more, I think it's in the KZN area, we've got a construction incubator, which primarily focuses on construction projects. And I haven't heard of one which speaks more specifically to motor mechanics, but my point is that they are not standardized, they are not all the same, the incubation spaces. So maybe...
What has been 2 reasons for operating in, and benefits, good things, for operating in townships?
All right. I think the first one, we cannot deny that the masses are in the township. A lot of people are in the townships. And I think this is our advantage as entrepreneurs. And we should take this also as an advantage. Look at it as an advantage. I was talking to other entrepreneurs in the morning, and she was actually saying to me, hey, I've been looking for you. I want someone to mentor me. And I was saying to her, you know what? A lot of people are afraid to come to me and ask for help, simply because they think I will withhold information just because of their asking about my industry. And I was telling her that that is not the case. You will always have customers. There are a lot of customers. Being the only supplier or the only bakery in Botshabelo does not mean that I will thrive in my business. Business is not only about that. Business is more than that. And we need to learn that there are masses, there are people that are willing to spend. I was happy, I think it's 2 months back when the DSBD came and donated a lot. They actually bought equipment. And I saw some of them, they were in the Samson Security Hall. And I saw some of them were actually bakery equipment. And here's the thing, and it's something that is working against us. And I did mention when I was sitting there that we are afraid to work together. Someone is afraid to come to me and ask me, why do you say your bread is 11 rands? And I saw the same people the following, I think 2 or 3 weeks later, they were selling bread and they were saying bread is 10 rand. And I was worried also. I was worried already because I know that your bread cannot be 10 rand. You will die young. So it's something that we ought to learn, that the township has a market. The township has a market. And yes, we are discouraged to replicate businesses, to always repeat one thing and one thing. But we also it becomes a challenge to us to also be innovative. If you are saying you're going to open a bakery and you see that I excel in bread, do something. There is a lot in bakery that you can always do, in manufacturing that you can always do. Or you can come and say, you know what, I see you are thriving in this. So how can I also operate under you? I was actually telling, there is a lady that does the same bakery outside, just inside the township. And I was saying to her, you know what, my distribution model is going to tap into your market. But I want you to be aware that I have moved from the level of selling bread from outside, or maybe selling bread that is not branded. So when I go into your area, just be sure that I'm not going to the market, because there is a market for people who are looking for bread that is unbranded. And there is also a market for people that are looking for branded bread. So do not be afraid when you see my guy delivering around you. I'm not going on your market. And if I have people that are looking for scampan bread in your area, I will always refer them to you. And that's what I do. I was with them. So there is business. There is actually business. It's not a good thing to say, or maybe to think that townships, because of their township, there is no money. There is always money, enough money to buy. So I think that's one thing that I will definitely put across, that there is a market for everyone. But you will always get challenges, like I mentioned in the earlier, that you will get challenges like a market that is conducive for you to operate in. You will always get closed doors, but be innovative as an entrepreneur. Be innovative, look for ways. And one way, I think this is the last thing that I will say. One way that I overcame that barrier of the township shopkeepers not wanting to buy my bread, I actually bought 5 tricycles that now deliver bread. They do door-to-door delivery. So you just WhatsApp your delivery. You can WhatsApp 1 loaf, it's fine. They put in their order in the morning, they collect their bread, their buns, and they walk around, they drive around, or they cycle around the township. So there is always a market, and you just have to be innovative. If you are doing a car wash, be innovative with your car wash. There are a lot of car washes. Be innovative. So there is a market in the townships, and I think there is still more people that can come in, whether it's in the bakery or the automotive sector, whatever sector, there is always a market for us.
Thank you. I think that's a good message, and the element of innovation is also useful. Benefits of being in the township, at least 2.
Okay. On the township, I was trying to get accreditation for the insurances. Because of the premises, you need to do this and do this, buy this machine, but at least I managed to get everything. But now I can work with cash customers and insurance customers, which means at least the business now is growing inside the township.
Working with cash customers, isn't it a security risk and a safety risk? Is it?
No.
There's always this thing, townships are
the
not
township
safe.
now is safe.
That's a benefit thing. The township is safe. Bloemfontein.
Other provinces. Because if you can go to Gauteng, there is a Roslyn, where there's small businesses on incubation centers. And then in KZN and Richards Bay, there is same thing, automotive. They are starting, I think, next month or in Eastern Cape. But like municipality of Nelson Mandela Bay, they were busy with the same thing of an automotive. Now, automotive is pushing it because everyone's got car, trucks, and buses. Yes.
So the exposure and possible networking opportunities with
Yes.
others in your sector
Yes.
would make a big difference for what you do here in. Great, you capture that.
I honestly cannot overemphasize the need for non-financial support. And I say that because I think we've been operating for 2 years and 3 months now. And for the first 18, I was telling the other entrepreneurs in the morning that for the first 18 months, we were running at a loss. And not because there was no business, not that there was no market, but simply because of I was not equipped enough for the business. So and this taught me that business is not always about getting the funding. Funding is very good, and I will definitely say I'm a beneficiary of SIFA. I started everything because of SIFA and NYDA. So I will not take away anything from the financial support, the need for the financial support. But I also would want to encourage all the DFIs and all the funders, when you do funding, and like I said earlier, that the private sector does this best, is that they don't just give you money, they will give you someone to work with you. That someone, and I was also telling these entrepreneurs in the morning that I currently have 6 mentors, 1 business coach, and 1 business advisor. He's at the back there. And I know after this he's definitely going to critique me and tell me everything. And that's what I actually appreciate, because this non-financial support, an easiest thing like your costing is what almost killed me. That made us to run at a loss for over a year. So if I had someone who would be asking me, yes, I see that your grade is 8 rand, why do you say it's 8 rand? Because it's easy when this is my first business, by the way. This is my first business. The last time I had business was in primary when I was selling peanuts. So this is my first business. And you make a lot of mistakes. And when I went into business, I was taking, where we are right next to ShopRite, Cambridge and Spa. And I look at Cambridge and they say their bread is 8 rand. I say, okay, mine is 7 rand. And I'm just saying that out of the head. And there is no one to ask me, why do you say this? And why do you pay people this much? There is no one to ask me why. And I say, if you give me money, and this is what SIFA, and I will always hold against them, is that they gave me money, and then the last email that I received was the proof of payment to the suppliers. And another email that I got was on the 5th month, when they reminded me that next month to help us, because this yoke is very heavy. We need someone to say on the way, you know what, let me help you a bit. Let me give you this, and this will help you. I remember when we started, I used to go to the workshops, and when you go into workshops, they will be talking about systems. And I was like, what are systems? And I'm sitting there, and I leave that place, and not understanding anything. But if someone comes and say, and they talk about systems there, and I have a WhatsApp and say, you know what, they were talking about what are systems, and there was no one to do that. Yet there is money in the bank which the DFI has actually deposited in my account. So it's very, very important to have that post-funding support. It's very, very, we should never neglect that, because that's where many businesses, and sometimes we do spend money wastefully because there is no one who's looking at us. But if I know that there is someone who will be asking me why and what did you spend, what did you buy and why did you buy that thing, at least I will not be buying iPhones and all that. But if there is no one and I'm all by myself and I'm doing my own thing, I can buy whatever I want. So let there be that non-financial support. Let there be emphasis on that.
Thank you.
I think he's touching on some of the points that you raised about self-mastery, but you're targeting a very specific kind of non-financial support, which is more the mentoring and the hand-holding, as opposed to sending you on many training courses.
Yeah. So the incubation program is about 3 years, and what normally happens is on the 3rd year, it takes them 3 years to start thinking like this. If I could get them like this, imagine how much further we'd go. Yo, no man, you're very impressive. Very impressive. Okay, so what has been the good reasons? Okay, for me, maybe I would propose we should look at spatial planning. You know, normally every time I'm working in the inner city, and then you've got hawkers who are there. And when they are there, they are on the paving. And they've been on this paving for the last 30 years, and they're not going anywhere until someone decides to do something about it. So now the situation is, you can't walk on the paving anymore because the roof over. So now you are walking with the cars. So now it has gotten worse because after the paving, it's the parking. So now you can't walk here. You have to go next to it. So now the bus is passing. So now you are literally busy of it as well. And this is all about spatial planning, you know. If we've got centralized areas for storage facilities for our informal traders, we can charge them something. Then we give our consumers a better, fresher product. They are just trying to make a living. So in the township, what I've learned is that, and I don't know why 31 years, but the good news, ladies and gentlemen, is that it takes 30 years for transition. You'll see a lot of people are retiring, a lot of people are, it means Bajwa, it's another right? It takes 30 years to change a generation. So in the township, there is no designated area which says this is a business area. This is what happens in our townships. They are converting sites which were demarcated for parks into business sites. So those are the sites, like car wash. That's how they get those car washes there. They are initially parks. So there's no site. In fact, when you think about it psychologically, it means that a person from a township, by design, this is by design, and I say by design because I was mentored by an architect. By design, it means the township is a place where you go and sleep. Look at what's functional, what you can do in the township. I always tell people that, and this is more on a light note, colleagues, that I think the reason why black men cheat is because which area in the township promotes family-orientated activities? And I'm talking, you understand Soweto, you understand Pretoria, I understand even the Durban areas. Which area in the township, Bloemfontein, also Soweto? And let's not talk about this box, where you can take your wife and your kids and go together as a family. All the places that a person can go to promote to 20 Guangayo. So the design plays a key role. You know, my mentor said that if you want to drive economic growth, you don't need to improve a lot of things. it was taken from what they did in New York. I think it's in the 70s. In New York, in the 70s, they had a challenge of crime. And the biggest driver for this was dilapidated building sites and broken windows and graffiti. So the mayor at the time decided that we're going to focus on these small things. We're going to fix the broken windows. We're going to charge people who are not taking care of their buildings, and we're going to we're going to paint the walls. So just infrastructure as a whole, make it conducive in the township for business, demarcate sites for business. They've built, I think now, the 6th community since I've moved to Bloem. I moved in 1996. Grassland, Raceway, all of those areas. These are township areas. But none of those areas there's a spot where they say this is a business site. It's a place where you sleep. And then somewhere where you sleep there's going to be a tavern. And then the one I hate the most, and I don't say this from a bad place, I also believe, and then there's a church. There's always a church. So we need to put, because now to pay the church you need money, let's put the things that bring the money, then you can pay the church. So let's put the sequence accordingly. And this is how planning is done now in the townships. There's no area where people are talking. We are talking about now, we want to improve the township economy. These people are selling things on pavements in the township. They are buying containers, but close their eyes and then put a container in the middle of nowhere and hope nobody comes. This is our township businesses, you know. And in closing, the very same people who are doing that have to deal with this foreign element, which comes in and says, this is how South Africa works. You pay. So what do you get? You get police bullying South Africans because South Africans are not shaken. They don't want to pay the police. So you see the foreign guys getting away with a lot of things. I think that they mentioned, where do these people get all of these compliance and compliance? They're not complying, they are paying. Go to just next to Moberman in that area. The foreign businesses are excelling. The local businesses are struggling because any regulation that you skip, those law enforcement will come for you. And they will want that money from you. And if you don't decide to pay, they will show you, like we say as black people, the cow bonds. Or not knowing that how bonds, I'm the person who's supposed to create a job for your child. And you are showing me. So we need to be more collective as each other and understand how this thing is interlinked. Thank you.